Hello, this is Statler Smith. You are watching one installment of a weekly series where I write an essay about something that's on my mind, record myself speaking that essay, and then upload that video to YouTube. For reasons set forth in the initial video in this series, this is a practice for myself. As such, this video will likely not be entertaining or particularly educational. Perhaps one day I will have value to add to others, but in the words of Aragorn, King of Gondor, it is not this day. If you choose to keep watching, feel free to give feedback on the clarity of thought and speech, as that is what I am trying to improve. Please let me know if you have undergone a similar journey or have tips to share. And who knows, maybe I will eventually add more video editing. With that, let's get into this week's essay. Hello, this is Statler Smith, and for some reason this week, I became fascinated with the concept of time. I appreciate the ability to define things, terms, or phrases, but time eludes my grasp. When we mean to speak of time, we instead speak of how we measure time, right? Seconds, hours, days, even love, if for the thespians out there. Those measurements are what my mind went to first when attempting to define this indescribable force of nature. After pushing past the temptation to diminish the grandeur of time, I found myself in awe. Time is vast and incomprehensible, yet permeates every part of our lives. I felt compelled to learn about humanity's response with the inevitability of progress. And wouldn't you know it, humanity has quite a history with time. I learned that the earliest method used to track time was the sun, moon, and stars, which makes a lot of sense. Those cycles are repetitive and reliable, and for people who didn't have smartphones to distract them, they must have spent a lot of time looking around and noticing patterns. Sailors saw patterns in the stars, allowing them to navigate the ocean safely. Farmers recognized patterns in seasons, helping them know what to plant or when to harvest. Hunters saw patterns in animal migrations, leading them to fertile hunting grounds. One of the articles mentioned that for those with that type of work, patterns of daylight and darkness matter more than this idea of a universal hour. The universal hour is, of course, what the current world operates from, at least most of it. The idea that humans have always seen and measured time as something for them to work with made me stop for a minute. Throughout our history, humans have adapted nature to our situation. Our understanding of time has always been based on how useful that understanding is. In times past, that meant time was measured by the rising and setting of the sun. In the present time, for a lot of the world that I know, the need to coordinate across the globe requires a universal standard time. And to me, this is evidence of how humanity is by nature agentic. We exert our will on the world in whatever capacity we can. Our entire perspective is based on how that perspective moves us forward. Of course, this breaks down on an individual level. Not everybody has that agentic um, tendency, but as a whole, humanity is pushed forward by those who do. Um, and our understanding of our environment is designed to help us thrive in that environment. Regardless of whether or not that understanding fully represents reality, we use what we understand to help us progress. One of the other related quotes that stood out to me was that humanity has always sought ways to understand this intangible force that governs our lives. Kind of related to this to the previous point. Um, in addition to exerting our will on the world, however we can, we're also attached to this illusion of control. I definitely feel a need to control what I can. And I know I'm not the only one. Of course, this leads to a bigger question about what we can or can't control in our lives, which I think is a fascinating topic. But regardless of the details of that discussion, time is one thing we are not able to control, right? We can't stop the flow of time. We can't make it move faster, right? Understanding time is the closest grasp that we can have on time. And so, to maintain that illusion of control, humanity has substituted understanding for control, right? If we can understand it, not controlling it, but it's a little bit better. And one way we can attempt, it's really the only way that we can attempt to make sense of this unstoppable force. And even that being said, there's a lot of limits to our understanding. And so maybe it's more measuring it measuring time is the closest thing we can have to a sense of control. Anyways, after humanity began to see value in measuring time, technology, of course, began to roll forward. Egyptians around 3000 BC started using sundials to measure the time of day. China used water clocks to track the passage of time. The base 60 system was invented by the Sumerians about around 2000 BC, which is insane. To think that we've been using the 60 seconds per minute and 60 minutes per hour for 4,000 years. Um, the duration of a second has likely changed due to the methods in place, but still, that's a lot of time to be using that base 60. But then around 1400 AD was the first mechanical clock. After that, technology really ramped up. The first pendulum clock was only 300 years later in the 1700s. Time was standardized across the world in the 1900s. Pocket watches became commonplace, or at least more commonplace than before. And eventually, the atomic clock was created, which, by the way, is a fascinating piece of technology. A lot of atomic clocks track time by measuring the vibrations of cesium atoms, which is really cool. Um, all in all, technology for measuring time advanced quite dramatically. And then society changed along with those changes. And how could it not? Um, Time permeates all of our lives. How we measure time, of course, will also permeate all of our lives. And now, because of how we measure time, um, coordination is possible that wasn't possible before. People can be a minute late, or 5 minutes late, or if you're me, sometimes 15 minutes late, depending on the activity. Um, you know how long an activity will go, or you know how long something's going to be. There is going to be a time measurement on this video, where previously it was just kind of you talk until the sun sets or whatnot. Um, so yeah, of course, society changes along with time. Um, and while reading through the history of time measurement, one thing I was impressed with was the amount of coordination between different people. Each successive generation built on the innovation and ideas from the previous generation. Sometimes there were multiple generations between technology leaps, but there were always shoulders to stand on. Frequently, the advancement relied not on time measurement technology specifically, but advances in seeming unrelated fields. This is no different from any other pursuit or any other endeavor. We're always standing on the shoulders of giants, who are then also standing on the shoulders of giants, and we end up seeing giants all the way down. We wouldn't be anywhere without those who came before us, literally and figuratively. If we are able to add value to those in the future, we will have contributed to the greatest work spanning the entirety of the human race. Um, we're part of that progression, right? The final quote I want to reference is as follows: "You can almost hear the ticking of the first mechanical clocks as they revolutionized medieval Europe, bringing order and structure to a world previously dictated by daylight and seasons." This quote to me captures the essence of humanity's relationship with time, where new technology was invented to give humanity an attempt to control this unstoppable force. Um, Throughout the successive contributions of many very intelligent people, we, as the human race, have attempted to bring order to this incredible, vast force. Um, and yet, after all the progress that has been made, we still know so little about the force of time itself. What makes us keep going forward? Um, it really is incredible. And that being said, where do we go next? What's the next iteration for our understanding of time or the measurement of time? How will it impact society? I don't know, but I'm interested to find out. Maybe it'll be in my lifetime. That'd be cool. I doubt it, but that'd be cool. So yeah, that's my thoughts on time. Thanks for tuning in. This week is a doubleheader because I was sick last week and had people over, and it was a lot, so I didn't do a whole lot of writing or recording. I'm not super thrilled about the quality of the essays that I'm writing, but I promised myself that I would write and record an essay for every week. So even though it's a little bit different this week, I am here doing an essay, and that is why I'm here. So I will go record the other one right now. I'll see you later.